anyways, Drew, on the Western theme, we're going to go out with one of the greatest movies of all time.
You know, it's one of my all-time favorites, Butch Cassidy. I saw it in the theaters, so I'm aging myself, right? It's over 50 years old. It came out in 1969, and it was subversive because it's a Western, and the bad guys are the good guys. These guys are bank robbers and train robbers, and but they're the good guys, and we like them. We don't want the guys that are chasing them to catch them. In fact, we see them, but only from afar. We get their names, but the director doesn't even give you a chance to try to even like them. We don't want them to catch them. And, William Goldman's my favorite screenwriter. These days it's Scott Frank. But Goldman wrote great dialogue. Here's something that'll knock you out, I think. Roger Ebert gave it 2.5 stars when it came out.
I can't believe that.
And criticized the screenplay, which won an Academy Award, by the way, and made Goldman because he went on to write, Marathon Man. He wrote the novel and the screenplay. He wrote just a ton of stuff. It's just an overall interesting movie based on real guys who, by the way, it's believed didn't get shot by the Bolivian army at the end, but it actually Butch shot Sundance and then shot himself in the head. That's what's based on how they found the bodies and the condition they were in. But Goldman did the right thing, and so did George Roy Hill, who directed it. You got to make these guys heroic, and the freeze frame at the end does that because it's all about the legend. So you freeze it. We don't want to see him full of bullet holes. The few bullet holes they have at the end are great, but we don't want to see them torn apart like in Bonnie and Clyde when Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway are getting shot down by machine guns. There's so many great scenes in it, and it broke all the rules of screenwriting, by the way. As the longest, William Goldman always says, there's the longest, I think it said he's the longest second act plot point in the history of film. It's not, it's just, he doesn't care about plot points, and with good reason. He just wrote something so fascinating that if you read it, you'd want to keep reading. And if you watch it, you want to keep watching.
Right.
And it's, interestingly, I think it was cast perfectly. And had they done it, and we can say this about a lot of movies where there were, because with every movie, there's options. Originally, they were going to use Jack Lemmon as Butch Cassidy. Can't even picture it. Can't even picture that.
It would have been like the Apple Dumpling Gang.
And then they wanted Steve McQueen as Butch, which I could kind of see, except he has no humor. He never had any humor as far as I was concerned. And they had an argument over billing between him and Newman, who produced it, by the way, one of the producers. And, they settled on Redford, who prior to that, I think only did one movie, Barefoot in the Park, which was a, syrupy romantic comedy.
Right.
And when I first watched it, I thought, oh, he's not in Newman's class. I can tell the difference in acting here. As it ages, I think, he got better during the filming or something. Right. I don't know. And again, it made him, right? And you think of the two guys, you got Newman's charity venture is the Hole in the Wall Gang, right? He makes the salad dressing and all that stuff, his own brand, and his camp, Hole in the Wall Gang. And of course, Redford with Sundance. That's how iconic the film is. It still has a 90% Rotten Tomatoes score.
Don't you think, Drew, it was the first buddy movie? Or buddy
of our generation? It's the first buddy. There's a lot of buddy movies. This, you can go back to The Fortune Cookie with, Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon.
Well, yeah,
or Like It Hot is a buddy.
Martin
movie.
and Lewis, but
yes.
like in a criminal or Law and Order sense. Like when I think of Butch Cassidy, then I jump to Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, it made the bad guys possibly good, right?
Or just partners with that dialogue.
Yeah.
Like Robert Downey Jr. said this, and I'm going to tie Iron Man to Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Are you ready for this?
I'm not sure.
Well, they said the reason Robert Downey Jr., and I agree with this, the reason why Marvel exploded was because of Iron Man and Robert Downey Jr., who had to audition for that, okay? Because of his humor and comedic timing and quick wit, much like Mel Gibson, much like Paul Newman, that's why Iron Man and Marvel took off. And I agree. I completely agree. I think, and I'm just thinking this up now, usually, Drew, as you know, I talk out of my ass. This is just coming to me now. I think that relationship between those two guys on camera and the comedic timing of Newman set a tone for 50 years.
Listen, all I'm going to say is anybody who has kids who are interested in movies and they're over 16, let's say, because they got to have a brain, for it. Because under 16, it's everything that's going on now. But like your son,
right?
You show him Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. When they get to the scene where they get off the train in Bolivia, he's going to pee his pants.
Right.
It's hysterical.
Right.
It's so perfect, and that's Goldman. And that's not real life. That's him inventing, what would have happened. And as actors, they pull it off perfectly. And we can't forget Catherine Ross, who's, we talked about The Graduate last time. We're on a Catherine Ross run here. But, we were in love with her from The Graduate. Then we got Butch Cassidy, and oh yeah, we're still in love with her because she loves these guys. And yeah, no, it remains one of my favorites. And I always recommend people to watch it. So
what was the name? I forgot the character, the little bald guy inside the train. Was it Hickok?
Oh yeah.
Hancock. He goes, when Butch he goes, that you, Butch? That you, Hickok? That you, Butch?
I'm with E.A. Harriman, the Union Pacific Railroad, Butch. I can't let you in. I can't. He blows him up. Yeah.
Stand back. Get back. Don't get hurt. Blows him up.
Brilliant stuff.
It is a standard. And I mean, even to, the other guys with Wahlberg and Farrell and just the buddy cop movie stuff, which I don't know, it still goes on today. They did it with Castle. I think for me, it started there. I'm sure there may be other examples. Freebie and the Bean, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, well, there's like I said, you can go back to Mathau and Lemon and
right
like that, but this was so big and iconic, and a lot of people like Ebert didn't get it right away.
Isn't it the longest horse ride ever? I mean,
yeah. Well, one of the things he complained about is it takes a long time, and they show him on the horses, but they do that for effect. It's like they're trying to get away, and the whole theme is they're running away, really, because the whole theme is the world's changing,
right?
And they can't change. That's why the bicycle's in it. It's why they show them going to Bolivia and they show them in the city and everything. Everything's changing around them, but they can't change. So, yeah, they're riding away. They're trying to, keep going, doing what they're doing, and they can't.
Right. So, I also go back to the offer. I also enjoyed the fact that Miles Teller went to get Robert Redford to do a picture on the set of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the famous shootout scene at the end, I think, is
right. That's what they said. That's what we were doing it.
Yeah, and the offer they show him making the offer to Redford.
Yeah, to go do a movie that bombed.
The great Waldo Pepper, horrible. Came out right after I think Butch Cassidy. It was horrible. He's a pilot. He's a pilot of a biplane, and yeah, it stunk. People went to see it though because of Redford.
Anyways, well, that's it, Drew. Anything else on your mind? We all good?
No, I'm gonna keep coming up with oldies and goodies. I try not to go back too far so you guys don't think I'm 110 years old.
Well, no, but I think listen, I tell my son this: everything that is streaming and episodic in 1970 would have been a feature.
Yeah,
and that's the way it works. That's all the good stuff is episodic. It's streaming.
Yeah, I talk about it all the time though. It's because theaters could only show things for 2 hours, so they created an artificial storytelling device, which is the movie.
Right.
But now we don't have to do that anymore with streaming. You can watch multiple episodes.
All right, for Drew Yanno, I'm Gary Tanguay. Thanks for watching Screen Time. It's movies, streaming, and everything in between. We'll see you next week.
All right.